A sleek, high-end boutique sits in the heart of a bustling city. Warm lighting glints off glass displays, and jazz music hums softly in the background. Designer racks line the floor, and everything smells of expensive leather and perfume. Maya Collins walks in, a 32-year-old black woman, professional, self-assured, and dressed in a tailored coat and heels. She's coming from a corporate event and treating herself to something nice. As she steps inside, her phone buzzes with a message. Glancing briefly at it, she slides the phone into her bag, taking in the layout of the store. The day has been long, and she's in the mood for a little indulgence. Perhaps that scarf she's had her eye on for weeks. She moves elegantly through the store, running her fingers along fine fabrics, appreciating the craftsmanship of each piece. Her face relaxes, if only for a moment. Shopping is her escape. She picks up a sleek black dress from one of the racks, holding it up to her shoulder in front of a nearby mirror. Just as she's about to head toward the fitting room, she feels eyes on her. A young store employee, Mark, watches her from behind the counter, his gaze lingering too long. She catches it in the reflection and notices the shift in his demeanor, alert, suspicious. Maya lets out a small breath, trying to ignore the familiar tightness in her chest. She reminds herself to stay calm. This isn't the first time she's been in a situation like this, but it still stings. Mark exchanges a glance with Sophia, the assistant manager, standing at the back of the store. Sophia tilts her head slightly, giving him a subtle nod. Mark straightens, clearly uncomfortable but obedient. Maya selects a few more items, a scarf and a tailored blazer, and drapes them over her arm. As she heads toward the fitting rooms, Mark approaches her, forcing a polite but awkward smile. "Ma'am, may I hold those items for you while you try them on? Store policy." Maya pauses, taken aback. She glances around the store. No one else seems to be getting the same treatment. A couple nearby is browsing freely, chatting quietly, and handling clothes without being stopped. "Is that policy for everyone?" Maya asks, her tone neutral but firm. Mark shifts uncomfortably, adjusting his name tag. "It's just a precaution, for certain items." Maya's jaw tightens. She knows exactly what this is, a precaution dressed up as profiling. But she hands over the items, holding her composure. Inside the fitting room, Maya sits on the small bench, breathing deeply. Her mind races through similar experiences, being followed in stores, having bags checked, asked unnecessary questions. Always polite, always calm. But the weight of it feels heavier each time. She knows she should let it go. But today, it feels harder. She smooths the scarf across her lap, staring at the fabric in her hands. A part of her wants to leave and avoid the confrontation. Another part of her, the part that's been growing louder over the years, wants to stand her ground. When she steps out of the fitting room, Mark is waiting awkwardly, holding her items. She takes them from him without a word and walks toward the cash register. Sophia intercepts her just before she reaches the counter, her expression cool and professional. "Ma'am, I'll need to check your bag before you leave." Maya stops cold, stunned by the audacity. "Why?" Sophia gives a tight smile. "We've had some issues with theft lately. Just a routine check," she said. Maya glances around the store again. No other customer is being stopped. She notices a white woman with a large handbag and a few items draped over her arm, completely ignored by the staff. "You're saying you think I stole something, is that right?" Sophia's expression doesn't change. "It's just policy, ma'am." Maya feels her pulse quicken, heat rising in her chest. She knows she's being profiled, and this time she's not going to walk away quietly. "You know what? No, you're not checking my bag," Maya uttered. Sophia's smile falters, just slightly. "If you refuse, I'll have to call security," Sophia said curtly. "Go ahead." Maya's voice is steady, but loud enough for other customers to hear. She looks around deliberately, making sure people are paying attention. "Call them," she spoke. A few heads turn. A young woman of mixed heritage standing near the jewelry counter, Jasmine Rivera, raises her eyebrows, listening closely, and was recording quietly. Sophia steps back, clearly flustered. Mark looks down, fiddling nervously with the tags on a sweater. Jasmine walks over, her curiosity piqued. "Excuse me," she says, her voice casual but pointed. "Is there a reason you're checking her bag and not anyone else's?" Sophia straightens. "We check bags when necessary." "Funny," Jasmine says, glancing at Maya. "I've been here longer than she has, and nobody asked to check mine." A small ripple of discomfort passes through the other customers. A man pulls out his phone, subtly recording the interaction. Maya folds her arms, her gaze steady on Sophia. It's not about policy. It's about what I look like. Huh? Sophia opens her mouth to respond, but nothing comes out. She's trapped, exposed under the weight of truth. Jasmine steps closer, standing beside Maya. If you're checking her bag, you better check all of ours. That's only fair, right? Mark shifts awkwardly. Maybe we don't need to. Too late, Maya says firmly. You already made this a thing. Now we're going to see it through. The atmosphere in the store shifts. Customers murmur to one another, some clearly supportive, others visibly uncomfortable. A few more phones come out, quietly recording. The store manager, Mr. Dawson, appears, alerted by the commotion. He assesses the situation quickly. A tense standoff, unhappy customers, and the threat of a public relations nightmare. What's going on here, he asks, his tone calm but authoritative. Maya meets his gaze without flinching. Your staff decided I look like a thief. That's what's going on. Dawson's jaw tightens. He looks at Sophia, then at Mark, piecing together what's happening. We don't tolerate discrimination in this store. But you do, Maya says, because that's exactly what this is. Dawson sighs deeply. He knows there's no easy way out of this. Ma'am, I apologize for any misunderstanding. Maya shakes her head. It's not a misunderstanding, it's a pattern, and it ends today. The room goes quiet. Everyone waits to see what happens next. You're right, Dawson finally admits. It does end today. He turns to Sophia and Mark. We'll discuss this further in private. Sophia's face drains of color. Mark looks like he wants to disappear. Dawson addresses the gathered customers. We'll be reviewing our policies immediately. This kind of behavior has no place here. Maya holds his gaze for a moment, then nods. She turns to Jasmine, offering a small, grateful smile. Thanks for standing with me. Jasmine shrugs. We've got to look out for each other, right? Jasmine introduced herself properly to Maya, and they both exchanged phone numbers. Maya takes a deep breath, the tension in her chest easing just a little. As she leaves the store, she pulls out her phone and starts recording. This is what happens when we speak up. This is how we make change. Maya strolls through the busy street, the crisp city air filling her lungs. She reflects on the moment, feeling a mix of relief and exhaustion. Though the confrontation ended in her favor, the emotional weight lingers. This wasn't just about shopping. It was about years of microaggressions, suspicions, and silent judgments. But today, she stood up, not just for herself, but for everyone who has ever been treated unfairly. Jasmine, who also quietly recorded the confrontation, decided to forward the video to Maya, showing her support towards her. Maya posted the video on social media. Later that night, Maya sits in her apartment, scrolling through her phone. The video of the incident has gone viral. Thousands of comments, shares, and reactions. Some messages are supportive, others are dismissive, but a surprising number of people, of all backgrounds, share their own stories of profiling. Her video spreads quickly across social media, sparking a wave of conversations about racial profiling and discrimination in retail. News outlets pick up the story. Activists started to talk about it. Black influencers as well as a few white influencers also started talking about the viral video on social media. Activists organized boycotts and awareness campaigns as more and more black folks talked about their experiences in retail stores, including grocery stores. A few days later, Maya walks past the boutique. A new sign hangs in the window. We stand for equality and fairness. All customers welcome. Maya smiles, feeling the weight lift from her shoulders. It's not the end of the fight, but it's a step in the right direction. As she walks away, her phone buzzes with a message from Jasmine. You did it. Maya replies, we did it. Jasmine's sister, Lena, FaceTimes her. Lena is younger, outspoken, and fiercely protective of Maya. Sis, you're all over Twitter. I can't believe you held it together like that. If it were me, I'd have gone off. Maya chuckles softly, propping her phone on the arm of the couch. Trust me, it took everything not to. You did the right thing, though. People need to see what we go through. This is huge. Lena's voice softens. I'm proud of you. Maya smiles, touched. Thanks, Lena. I'm tired, you know? It shouldn't have to be like this. Lena nods. But it is. And you're doing something about it. After ending the call, Maya stares at the city skyline through her window, lost in thought. She wonders what lasting impact the past few days' events will have. Will the store really change? Or will they quietly return to old habits once the buzz dies down? The next morning, Maya wakes to a flood of notifications. Her story is being picked up by major news outlets. A well-known civil rights organization reaches out, asking if she'd be willing to speak on their panel about racial profiling. She hesitates for a moment, unsure if she's ready to step into the spotlight. But then she remembers Jasmine standing by her side and the importance of using this moment to push for real change. At the same time, Maya's employer, a prestigious consulting firm, calls her in for a conversation. She knows what's coming, a warning about her newfound visibility. They won't say it directly, but she can hear it in their tone. Be careful. Don't make waves. In the office, her boss, Mr. Reynolds, a well-meaning but out-of-touch executive, offers her a tight smile. Maya, we respect your right to speak out, of course, but we have to think about optics. Clients might, misinterpret things. Maya listens in silence, her anger simmering just below the surface. She knows that if she were someone else, someone who didn't look like her, this wouldn't even be a conversation. With all due respect, Maya says calmly, this isn't about optics. It's about doing what's right. Reynolds shifts uncomfortably. Of course. Just tread carefully, all right? Maya leaves the office, more determined than ever. She knows she's walking a fine line, but staying silent is no longer an option. In the following weeks, Maya's story becomes a catalyst for change. Retailers across the country begin reevaluating their policies, launching anti-bias training programs, and partnering with advocacy groups. The boutique where the incident happened invites her to speak at a public event where they announce a new, inclusive policy. Maya phoned Jasmine, notifying and inviting her to be part of that event if she is available. "Oh sure, I will definitely be there to support you," Jasmine said, feeling enthusiastic. The following week at the event, Maya and Jasmine were present, scanning the room filled with reporters, activists, and store employees. Mr. Dawson, the store manager, stands on the stage looking genuinely contrite. He began, "I want to start by saying how deeply sorry I am for the unacceptable experience you had in our store. The profiling and discriminating behavior you and others like you faced from our staff is absolutely contrary to our values and everything we stand for," he admits into the microphone. "As the store manager, I take full responsibility for the actions of my team. We failed to provide you with the respect, dignity, and service you deserve. I understand that this incident has caused harm and mistrust, and for that I am truly sorry." There were some murmurs in the hall as Mr. Dawson concludes, "We are taking immediate actions to address these issues. Our staff will undergo diversity, equity, and inclusion training to ensure we provide a welcoming environment for all customers, regardless of race, ethnicity, or background." He spoke, "We made mistakes, but we are committed to doing better." As Mr. Dawson concluded, most people in the hall started to clap, while the look on some faces wished this speech was not just for PR stunts. Mr. Dawson then invited Maya to the stage. Maya steps forward. Some people were seen on their feet as the hall echoed with resounding claps. Speaking from the heart, Maya said, "This isn't just about one store or one incident. It's about the everyday experiences of people who are judged before they even open their mouths. We all deserve to be treated with respect. No exceptions." Her words resonate deeply with the crowd. Applause ripples through the room. Jasmine, standing in the audience, gives her a proud thumbs up. In the months that follow, Maya becomes an unexpected public figure in the fight against racial profiling. She speaks at conferences, writes op-eds, and joins coalitions working to make retail spaces safer and more inclusive. Though the journey is exhausting, it's also empowering. One evening, as Maya walks home from an advocacy event, she gets a call from a reporter. "How does it feel," the reporter asks, "to know you made a difference?" Maya pauses on the sidewalk, looking up at the night sky. Stars flicker faintly above the glowing city lights. "It feels good," she says after a moment, "but there's still a lot of work to do." As she walks into her building, Maya said to herself for a moment, "This is just the beginning." Her shoulders relaxed, her head held high. In the weeks that follow, Maya adjusts to life in the public eye. While the attention brings opportunities for meaningful change, it also comes with challenges. There are people who question her intentions, and trolls flood her social media with hateful messages. Messages like, "You are doing too much, Maya. Some of you lot actually steal from the stores," the message read. Another message followed, "There is nothing wrong in checking these black folks." But Maya's resolve only grows stronger. She learns to balance the noise, focusing on the progress while brushing off the negativity. Maya visited home. She has dinner with her sister Lena and her mother Diane. Over a shared meal, they talk about the challenges black women face daily. Diane, wise and resilient, offers advice. "Maya, the world's not always kind to us, but remember, you don't have to carry everything on your own. Lean on your people." Lena nods in agreement. "You know I've got your back, right?" Maya smiles, grateful for their unwavering support. It's moments like these that remind her why she fights. Because this is bigger than just her. It's about family, dignity, and the right to exist without suspicion. One evening, Jasmine invites Maya to a community event celebrating local activists. Maya decides to attend, needing the sense of connection. As she arrives, she notices a small group of people who recognize her. They approach cautiously, offering words of support. "Your story gave me the courage to speak up," one woman says, her voice emotional. "I was followed in a store last week. For the first time, I didn't just walk away, I confronted them." Maya feels a lump in her throat. Hearing how her stand has inspired others reinforces that this fight matters. Later, she reconnects with Jasmine and they reflect on the journey they've shared. Jasmine, sipping a soda, grins mischievously. "Who knew shopping would turn into all of this?" Maya laughs, the tension she's carried easing a bit. "If I'd known, I would have just ordered online," Maya said softly. The two share a light moment, but the weight of their shared experience lingers. They know there's still a long way to go, but they're not walking it alone. Meanwhile, changes ripple through the corporate world. Maya's consulting firm receives backlash for their lukewarm response to her activism. Faced with public criticism and the threat of losing clients, Mr. Reynolds reaches out to Maya, proposing a diversity and inclusion initiative with her at the helm. "You could lead the way," he suggests, trying to spin it as an opportunity. But Maya's done playing it safe. She stares him down. "I'm not here to fix what you refused to address for years. I'll help if you commit to real change, not just PR stunts." Reynolds hesitates, but the pressure is mounting. Reluctantly, he agrees. Maya makes it clear. If they're serious about change, it has to be on her terms. The initiative kicks off and Maya speaks candidly during company-wide meetings. Her words are direct, but her message resonates. The firm's culture starts shifting. Slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely. Employees share their experiences, uncomfortable truths come to light, and systemic changes are put in place. One day, while reviewing policies with HR, Maya notices something that catches her off guard. Mark, the young store clerk from the boutique, has sent a letter of apology. In it, he admits his actions that day were rooted in fear and ignorance. "I was taught to look out for certain people," he writes, "and I never questioned it. I'm sorry for being part of the problem." Maya sits with the letter for a long moment, a swirl of emotions running through her. Anger, sadness, and, surprisingly, hope. She knows not everyone will apologize, but this is a step forward. Months pass, and Maya becomes a trusted voice in the movement, balancing her advocacy work with her personal life. She's learned when to push forward and when to rest. On a rare quiet afternoon, she sits by a park watching children play. The sunlight filters through the trees, casting golden beams across the grass. She reflects on how far she's come, not just since that day in the boutique, but in life. She's no longer the woman who silently endured. She's the woman who stood up, spoke out, and helped change the narrative. Her phone buzzes, a message from Jasmine. "Big rally next week. You in?" Maya smiles, typing a quick response. "Always." As she slips her phone back into her bag, she takes a deep breath, savoring the moment. The fight isn't over, but for the first time in a long time, she feels at peace, because she knows that change is possible. And she's not just surviving anymore, she's thriving. The sun sets slowly over the city, casting warm hues across the skyline. The world may not be perfect, but it's getting better, one stand at a time. And Maya will be there, every step of the way. This true life story highlights racial bias in North America, specifically focusing on the experiences of Black individuals facing racial profiling. Racial profiling refers to the discriminatory practice of targeting people for suspicion of wrongdoing based on their race or ethnicity rather than actual behavior. Here we see the key aspects of bias illustrated in the story. We see prejudice in the retail spaces every day. Maya is accused of theft without any evidence, simply because of her race. This reflects a common experience for many Black shoppers who are often unfairly scrutinized, followed, or accused in retail settings, a phenomenon known as shopping while Black. There is escalation based on stereotypes. The assistant manager, Sophie, escalates the situation rather than de-escalating, based on the assumption that Maya must be guilty. This reveals how systemic bias can shape the way people respond to situations involving Black individuals, expecting confrontation or criminal behavior even without cause. There is fear and learned biases. Mark, the young store clerk, admits in his apology that he was taught to look out for certain people and never questioned it. This shows how racial bias is often deeply ingrained in social norms and perpetuated through learned behaviors, often unconsciously. Institutional and corporate pressures. Maya's consulting firm indirectly discourages her from being outspoken about her experience, signaling that corporations often prioritize public perception over justice. This reflects how bias extends beyond individuals and into institutional practices, with companies preferring to avoid controversy rather than addressing systemic issues. The bystander effect and activism point to Jasmine. Jasmine's role as a bystander who intervenes emphasizes the importance of allyship, showing how bias persists, partly because others fail to challenge it. The positive impact of Maya's stand and the viral attention it receives demonstrates how change can begin when individuals actively confront prejudice. The story touches on the emotional exhaustion and burden carried by Maya. This reflects the cumulative psychological toll of experiencing and confronting bias regularly, a reality for many marginalized people in North America. In summary, the narrative underscores how racial bias is pervasive across different aspects of life, from retail spaces to workplaces and media perceptions. It also emphasizes that meaningful change requires personal accountability, institutional reform, and collective action.